Alrighty, this video is going to be on some lowest common denominators and how they work. Okay, so the whole reason we want lowest common denominators, well actually first of all, lowest common denominator is something we have when we are dealing with fractions. So we have 1/2 and 1/3. The denominator for 1 is the number on the bottom line, so 2 and 3 are our denominators here. Then let's say we wanted to add these two fractions together. Well, we wouldn't be able to do that until these two bottom numbers were the same. So what we want to do is convert one of these fractions, or maybe two, into fractions where these denominators are the same number. So we start doing that by looking at, well, how can I turn 2 into 3, or how can I turn 3 into 2? Well, that's a bit hard with these ones. So then what we do is we go through the multiples. We go, okay, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Now 3, well, we've got 3, 6, 9, 12. Now if I keep going with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Look, so now what we've got is we've worked out that for 2 and 3, it's 2 and 3, we have some numbers in common. We have 12, where 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 4 is 12, and we also have 6. So these 12s and these 6s are common denominators. They're numbers that we can easily convert these denominators into. But 6 is the lowest one. 6 is the lowest common denominator. So then what we do is work out how we're going to convert these fractions, both of these fractions, to have a denominator of 6. Let's start with the 1/2. 1/2, well, I want to convert this 2 into a 6. How can I do that? I can times it by 3. Now, whatever we do to the bottom line when we're doing these conversions, we do to the top line. So that means 1 times 3 as well. So now let's do this 1/3. Well, 3 times 2 is 6. So we have to times the top line by 2 as well. So there we are. Now if I had to work those out, I'd have 1 times 3, 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Then I go add 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Then just for completeness, I add these two together. 3 add 2 is 5. And when we add fractions, the bottom numbers stay the same. Now these bottom numbers stay the same, like I just said, but that's why we have to convert the denominators to be the same number. Otherwise it just wouldn't work. So there you are, that's lowest common denominator. Now when you're adding fractions, if you can't work out a lowest common denominator, then what you can do is just times the bottom two numbers together. And that will be the denominator you're going to use. So in this case, it just happens that 2 and 3 times together equals 6, which was the lowest common denominator. But there are situations where it's just not going to be possible to just find a lowest common denominator. And situations like that are when we're doing our algebra with fractions, where the bottom lines, so the denominators, involve an x. So let's say I have 5x plus 1 over x plus 3 equals 3/2. So when I'm presented with this equation, the first thing I want to do is convert the fractions so they have the same denominator, so the same number on the bottom. But because this one on the bottom is x plus 3, it's hard to work out what a lowest common denominator is as a number. We can't do that unless we know what x is. So like I just said, if you don't know how to make a lowest common denominator, you just times the two bottom numbers together. So our common denominator for this will be 2 times x plus 3, because we've just times them together. So let's write this out again. So I've got 5x plus 1 over x plus 3 equals 3 over 2. And now we're going to convert them to have the same denominator. So the denominator I'm working towards is 2x plus 3. So over on this side, we have x plus 3. Well, how do I turn that into 2x plus 3? All I have to do is times it by 2. Now, whatever I do to the bottom line, I have to do to the top line. So I'm going to times that by 2 as well. So over to this side. Now I have a 2 here, and I want to convert that into 2x plus 3. Well, I times that by x plus 3. Now whatever I do to the bottom line, I do to the top line. So I have to times that 3 by x plus 3. So there you are. Now next thing, we have to expand these brackets in the next line. 2 times 5 is 2 times 5x, 10x. Add 2, that's 2 times 1. Now over here, top line 3 times x and 3 times 3. But now, because each side of this equation is only a fraction, and because each of those fractions have the same denominator, we can cancel them out. They are gone. So all we're left with is the top line. And the top line is what I've expanded out down here. And then what you do is you could collect like terms and work this out. So if I have 3x on this side of the equation, I move it over. That goes to 7x, because after it's plus on this side, I minus it away on this side. Then I can move this 2 over here. Well, it's plus 2 on this side, so it'll be minus 2 on this side. Well, 9 minus 2 is 7. And now I've got this 7 to deal with, so I go x equals, well, I move that over to the other side. Because I'm timesing on this side, I divide on this side, so I get 7 divided by 7, so x equals 1.